the rose bright, your emblem. Save the trash, dear Lord, we ask for nihil pride or timam, which means nothing but the best. So that was done on a daily basis.
That is school national
anthem. Every single day. It's actually 3 stanzas, but I only sang 1.
Yeah.
So we became very focused in life because we knew we were expected to be nothing but the best.
Yes.
So that was done. That song, we sang it over 4 years.
Yes.
So by the time we were done, we really were well spanned to be anything we want to be.
Yes.
And to face anybody that we need to face around the world.
Yes.
Then from 9 to 10, I think we had classes. Then tea break from 10 to 10:20. Then classes ran until noon. Then from noon to 12:20, I think we had lunch. After lunch, we had a siesta. Then 2, you need to be again in class.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
You guys had a siesta?
Yes, to make the food digest.
How many minutes?
About 1 hour, so that the food can digest.
And everyone goes to like...
To siesta, to sleep and rest.
Come on now.
Yes, after that.
Come on now. I wish, Lenana, you didn't lose that. Because that sounds like
fantastic.
A well-organized, disciplined way of doing things.
Then after that, from 2 to 4, would be in class. And some of the interesting teachers, like the one who taught me Swahili, the late B. Salome Kuvuna Maneno, would say, when I'm teaching you these 2 Swahili literature lessons, they call Fasihi.
Yes.
I say, I don't want to teach you in classroom.
Yeah.
Let's go beneath the tamarind tree, and I'll teach you for those 80 minutes. And it was fantastic. So a lot of kids in our class in Fasihi, they almost got all A's, all her boys, because we understood the whole story.
It was an experience.
It was a totally experience. Yes. And every day she walked into the class, the days she did it in class, she always entered and pinched me. Then I would say, Mwalimu niache, teacher leave me. But I didn't realize that she was doing that out of affection. So every day she came in, she pinched me. Yeah. And when I was leaving the school, she wrote me a fantastic poem called Heri, which means good luck wherever you do, because if you're somebody who loves the Almighty, your life will be blessed. So she gave me blessings before I left.
Yes.
And then the other thing that happened is that we used to go for functions when I was in Lenana. And because I have a lilting bass or baritone, so a lot of the ladies from the neighboring schools, from Precious Blood to the Kenya High School, Nairobi Girls School, Seattle Girls, Limuru Girls, they liked how I spoke. So I became a recipient of a lot of letters. From
every Friday or every day?
Every day, because they were always read at the parade. So every day my
you
house
are the
captain,
goat.
yes, the goat. Yes, so they're always reading my name. And so they wondered, this kid is receiving a lot of letters.
Yes.
And I had also a pen pal from Norway. She still is there. She's called Christine Maestral Vatland.
Yes.
I've known her for more than 17 years. In fact, I was born on May 17th, which is the Independence Day of Norway. So a lot of Norwegians used to send me a lot of birthday cards because I was born on that day. And because my pen pal Christine, who came from a place called Bergen. Bergen is the place Dr. Mukisa Kitui stayed when he escaped Kenya. He went to Bergen and stayed there and met his wife there, I believe. So they kept on writing to me. And so Lenana was a special place in that.
There's something that is really interesting, Teddy.
Yes.
Were you punished when you were a kid? Were you punished in school? Were you punished in high school?
So I like that because I don't know if
how were you? Because your life sounds like you're on a holiday and that's high school.
Yes. So
and the way I know African culture and how discipline is shared around.
I like that. So
I'm curious.
So this is actually I'm happy you raised this question because I was sharing with somebody actually 2 days ago in the village.
Yes.
That whenever teachers saw that I was in trouble and I was either kneeling as a part of punishment that we're supposed to be caned, especially at Lenana, they would excuse all the boys. They were afraid because they never wanted to hurt me or to even cane me.
Why?
They held me in a certain way. Maybe they thought I was special to them. So they never wanted to cane me. So if you ask any old boy of Lenana if Teddy was ever caned, they'll tell you he was never caned.
So you were never caned?
I was never caned in Lenana. Maybe only once by the principal when he caned everybody because he was doing it so that we know who he is.
He was establishing power.
He was establishing power, but that is the only time. But all the other teachers, whenever it was an issue to cane students and I was part of the whatever, they would shy away. So in fact, when
Maybe you are Moi's. You know, Moi also was
Moi's-
was something. Moi's child. You know, this is a guy who.
No, we didn't drag it there, but the people knew that. But I think also because I was just being Teddy, as I call it. So what happened is that the teachers, I think, liked me a lot.
Yeah.
I think when I did my book here, you met one of them.
Yes, I met her.
Miss
And
Dora.
she spoke profoundly about you.
Exactly, because she was, even when she was writing my letter of recommendation to the US, she wrote a magnificent letter.
She is the one who wrote the recommendation.
She wrote the letter. And because most of them didn't know how to write the letters, I brought a copy of the New York Times obituary. This I'm revealing today. Because I found when people died in the US, they were praising them in a way I've never seen. In fact, they call it an encomium. It's not even a eulogy. It's higher than a eulogy. It's the highest form of praise. It's called an encomium.
Encomium.
Yes.
I'm learning that word.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I was giving them this. I was saying, if you want to write about me, don't be shy. Don't just say Teddy was hardworking or Teddy was a keen student. Tell them that I was in complete control of my intellectual arena.
What?
So such kind of words.
That's a form for.
Yes, and I was coaching them. Yes, so she knows that, and all these teachers knows that, and so I did for a lot of these, and I ended up writing New Horizons, a guide to applying to colleges in the US, and even I put templates of recommendation letters because I knew these teachers didn't know how to write this because this was new to them. This was very American.
And that is Lenana.
And that is Lenana. So Lenana, we believe
Yes.
that you don't even need a college degree to lead. That's why even if people were chasing after Senator Sakaja, they were wasting their time because at the height of Lenana, when Lenana was always Lenana, the Form 4 degree is even enough.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't even know that the late Dr. Richard Leakey, who was the foremost paleontologist in the world, he didn't have any degree.
And did he go to
only
Lenana?
went to Lenana until Form 4, and he used to be one of the last students at Lenana in performance.
And he achieved all that.
Achieved that. Okay, well, he learned a few of the things from his parents, Louis Leakey and Meave, and so he knew.
But you also have to be smart to be able to learn.
Exactly, and he wrote probably one of the most authoritative books on the Agikoyo of Kenya. But what I'm trying to say is that Lenana opened. We used to have telescopes to gaze to the skies above. So our life was not just terrestrial. And we used to have also a big swimming pool.
So your dream of UFOs was realized there?
It was realized there.
Yes.
And we used to have like 10 laboratories, or not just well-equipped laboratories. And we used to have engines of planes, cars for power mechanics. We used to have metal workshops, wood workshops. So I know how to do dovetail joints. I know how to do welding. And so I came out fully ready for the world. So I'm very thankful for that experience. But most importantly, they taught me to be amongst the leaders of that time and feel completely comfortably around them, among them, and with them. So that carried wherever I went, I was always
and it still ready. Shows, by the way.
Yes, so I have that in me, and I thank Lenana for that. And also another strange thing, because the teachers, like for example, my math teacher, Mrs. Sarah Juma. So if, say, I broke my spectacles, because there are a lot of boys there and we used to play rugby and other games, instead of sending me home to go and get glasses, she would just put me in her car and go and buy glasses with her own money at Optica. Isn't that crazy?
What do you mean?
I'm telling you the truth. It is true. It has happened, and she's still alive. So she can verify. And even one of the other craziest things that happened when I was at Lenana, the principal, Mr. Samuel Maneno, who is now in Kwale.
Is he still a principal?
He's still alive. He's in his 80s, early 80s now. He's retired. I think he runs Sawa Academy in Kwale. So one time he surprised me by giving me the keys to his office.
Have the access.
Yeah, to have the access. So I would go there from time to time to have tea. But little did I know he was actually grooming me to become the chapel prefect or to become one of the leaders in the school.
An honest leader.
An honest leader. So I did that. And he also surprised me. And then later, when he stopped being principal of Lenana, he moved to Buruburu Phase 5. We used to live in Buruburu Phase 1. he actually used to send me to his post office box to get him his letters in town, or to do for him, run his errands immediately after Form 4.
Yes.
And of course, he'd pay me.
Yes.
So I was still being trained. So I saw Lenana for me as a place where I was being trained to be a leader, and specifically to be a servant leader.
Yes.
And they gave me opportunities 3 times a week, Thursday, Tuesday, and Saturday, to speak to the whole school.
Yes.
So the principal deliberately did that. So I gave more than 735 speeches when I was in Lenana.
Yes.
So when I went to the US, it was very easy for me to address a lot of audiences and all that kind of thing. And Lenana was also beautiful to me in the sense of I love chemistry and biology until today.
Yes.
So I used to read a book called M.V. Roberts.
Yes.
It's a book which used to be read for the 6th form. And in physics, I read a book called, it's an Abbott book. And so I used to enjoy those subjects.
Yeah, I know Abbott.
So I went through Abbott 7 times. Yeah. So in fact, until now.
And it's a large book.
Yes. I know a lot of the concepts and the laws of physics, which I apply in my life.
Yes.
So I apply, in fact, even action is equals reaction, for example. It applies in everything I do. Say, for example, if I take 3 years to write a book, I'll take 3 years to market it. So I always follow
Some of those laws
of science, which is really laws of life.
Yes.
And Lenana being as big as it was is also when I saw the disparities of the rich and poor.
Yes.
Because, for example, when I first went to Lenana in 1993, when my mother was going back to the city, she was given a lift by Mrs. Muchilwa, the late Mrs. Muchilwa.
Yes.
And my mother told me she was surprised that this lady, her husband then was an MP, Sheldon Muchilwa, the Honorable Sheldon Muchilwa, MP for Emuhaya.
Yes.
My mother told me that she bought 9 kilos of meat.
For what?
To take back home. Yes, that's to just show you, because she was dropping my mother in town.
Yes.
And her house was in State House Road.
Yes.
So my mother just told me she's never seen somebody buy so much meat at once.
Yes.
To
9
take to
kg
her
back
home.
then is a feat.
It's a feat. But there were many children in the house, as well.
Yes.
But also there, as I said, there are kids who had never worn shoes for the first time. There were kids who were coming with portable electronic Bibles. And then there was a guy called Simba. I think his father was then the chairman of the National Bank. So he used to come with dollars, a lot of dollars. So when he went to the tuck shop, he'd always buy for all the boys bread and butter.
And still...
And remain with a lot of money. So if you're lucky to be at the tuck shop at the time he was,
you are eating.
You're eating. So this was there for the whole year round.
At least he was generous.
Yes, he was generous. So there was even the sons of of Sharif Nasir, Delmas Otieno. So we were in school with a lot of these cabinet ministers' kids. Even though most of them did not come the right way, they came through the back door. But nonetheless, there were students there, and they were filthy rich.
So it was not about smartness anymore.
Yes, so we experienced that, people who are extremely wealthy. And during my time at Lenana, there were even Japanese and Asian kids who were studying at Lenana because it was as elite as that. So people really wanted their kids to be there.
And the question that I beg to ask is, the last time I visited Lenana a couple of times, one of those times I was in charge of the new KIMS kits from IBC. So I was setting up some of them in that area.
Yes.
It doesn't really look like Lenana.
Right now.
That you are spoken about.
Yes, I think over time it was mismanaged.
Yes.
And that's sad.
Yes.
And there's nothing much you could do about it because all boys try to intervene. But when the animal, or the monster, or the beast that never gets full, which is called corruption, invades an institution or a place, you can't help it. Because now even those guys started using firewood. Can you believe it?
And that has never been.
We always used to use gas.
Even back in the day.
Even back then. So how do you start using firewood? And then you cut the trees from the Lenana forest to provide...
So you're doing deforestation around the area.
You're doing deforestation, which is dead wrong.
Yes.
And from a school that used to use LPG, then you start using that to cut corners.
Quite
And then we used to
downgrade.
get all the milk from the grade cattle in the school.
The farm, yeah.
Apparently, some of the principals sold the cows.
And of course, maybe pocketed the money.
Pocket the money. Then now you have to buy milk from what is it called?
The dairy?
The dairy. You have to buy milk from the dairy farms or companies.
Yes.
Yet we used to produce 100% of our milk to be consumed by the students used to consume milk.
Sad state.
It's a sad state. However, I think lately we're making a comeback.
Yes.
I think I saw good buses. There's a new dormitory called Mandela House, which I think Prime Minister Raila Odinga was instrumental in making sure we got 45 million shillings to build it.
Yes.
In fact, when I was cooperating and collaborating with him,
Yes.
I surprised all the Lenana old boys and the principal
Yeah.
by bringing Raila Odinga. He was then the Prime Minister of Kenya.
Yes, yes.
And he came 30 minutes before time during the first Mashujaa Day.
Yes.
Because he came to honor Laibon Lenana
Yes.
in 2010,
Yes.
October, on the eve of Mashujaa Day.
October
Raila
19th.
Odinga, yes, I brought him to Lenana. And we have a wonderful speech called Nothing But the Best that he gave there, that I still have it on record. But because
Did you write that one?
I don't know. How do you know a lot of these things?
We will get there. So no worry. No worry. You tell us about
it's a
all those
masterpiece,
speeches.
and
Yes,
there
yes.
are many more. But he's one of the people who has always honored my invitations.
Yes, yes.
After that, when in 2010, 2011, when he was Prime Minister and we had established Africa 2.0,
Yes.
the Right Honorable Raila Odinga actually came to the office.
Yes.
I mean, to launch Africa 2.0 in Mombasa.
Yes.
And even when he lost the presidency
Yes.
in 2013,
Yes.
Africa 2.0, to honor him,
Yes.
we invited him to Addis Ababa at the AU for 1 week so that he relaxes and he gives speeches, and we took him to a big football stadium, and
Yes.
he had a good time there. And little do we know, a few years later, they named him to be a special envoy for infrastructure for AU. But we always pushed him to the idea of a connected and united Africa working together. And I traveled to a lot of countries with him. So that's something I'm also very proud of.
Yes.
And I'm proud of the fact that he listens to me.
Yes.
And he's been good to me.
Yes.
And so whenever I hear people say, what chances does Mr. Raila or Right Honorable Raina gives to the youth?
Yes.
He's always given me. And I've always given opportunities to so many youth.
Yes. And that begs me to ask you a very pertinent question, because this is a tech ecosystem podcast.
Yes.
Given the close interaction, close working with Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, do you think he believes in tech ecosystem? And if he does, what has he done all the time he had those opportunities? Because he has really gotten close. He has. No, I don't think there's anyone who has been so close to presidency and center of power more than Raila Odinga.
Thank you. So I'll begin this way. The first person who told me about Truecaller is actually Odinga's son, the late Fidel Macarius Odhiambo Odinga. And the first person who ever had me use his iPad was actually Odinga, because he had it even before a lot of people had it.
Yes.
And people didn't know that he knows how to use an iPad, but he's always used one.
Yes.
You see that?
Yes.
And what is also very instructional is that when Bitangen Demo, Dr. Bitangen Demo was PS for ICT in Kenya, Odinga let him... I think, was he there at the time of Odinga or before? I'm not quite sure. But that time they landed the fiber.
I think he
optic.
was there.
Yes, so Odinga was always cooperating. In fact, he was there because this is what Betanga used to tell us, that whenever he gave Odinga a brief, Odinga would actually give him permission.
Yes.
So to have somebody like that give you permission, first, permission to bring the broadband, so that at least we are now almost 95% coverage of broadband.
Yes.
Secondly, to allow an easy way to allow Safaricom to be given licenses to operate as a mobile money transfer. In a lot of countries, that could not have been accepted. So what Odinga does best that people don't realize and know, he's very good at making structures that carry the majority of people. For example, he did the counties or the federal system in Kenya. And right now, I know there's the ICT bill, which he opposed. He asked the president not to consent it. So I don't know if that happened or not. But he saw that it would not be good for the ecosystem.
Yes.
And the other thing that he has done is that he's given a lot of access for training for a lot of techies. So he's been open. Yeah, so he's been open.
Well, I have my way of looking at things. And one of the things is that everything I hear about Raila Odinga, there is a third party involved.
Yes, which third party is this?
Like, for instance, what he did with Bitange.
Yes.
There's some guys who would argue, okay,
yes,
Mwai Kibaki was in power, and
yes,
that is, it.
Yes.
With the the ICT bill,
yes,
he had to ask someone else to, like,
yes,
he could not intervene at the process of, like, even debating it, passing it, following it up.
Yes.
He had to wait until the end. Even the president himself, most of the tech guys would ask,
yes,
why would the president wait until it comes on his desk?
Yes.
Whereas we know he has the majority of the MPs, he has the majority of the people who actually passes it to that level.
Yes.
But that's debatable. So I'll not dwell on that. And I wish if he wins come 9th, then maybe we can see the change. So guys, for those who don't know, this is recorded in July. So
I like that. I like that.
But Teddy, let's even dwell on you, because you are a legend on yourself. So
thank you.
Let's not talk about people who are not here. There's one thing that I've always meant to ask you, and I'm sure most of the people who will be listening to this will benefit a lot on this. Yes. How did you come to master English, the Queen's language?
Oh, I see. So as
what's the secret?
I told you before that. So when I was very young, I'm the 10th of 17 children.
Yes.
So at home, we spoke mostly English. No, actually, we spoke the Luo, which is my native language.
Yes.
And we spoke Swahili.
Yes.
My father has been deeply influenced by the Sukumas of Tanzania.
Yes.
Because he lived in Tanzania for a long time.
Yes.
But my father had a way of, when he was reading the newspaper, which is every day, my father would read it out loud to me. And my father was taught by a Scottish missionary.
Yes.
The late it's called Bwana Ines in Nyakach.
Yes.
Where I come from. So he was the only student as an apprentice for almost 12 years. So my father developed an almost Scottish accent when he was speaking his English. And of course, because I'm his son, then I imitated, or I spoke the way my father spoke.
Yes.
So that was the first
So
thing.
your parent played a key role.
Exactly. Then my mother intentionally read for me something. There's a book called Archie and Sabrina. And there's also a book called Nancy Drew. There's the novels. And there's a book called Asterix and Obelix. So Asterix was a lot of adventures in the seas. And they're cartoon strips.
Yes.
So my mother used to make me race in who can read the strip faster. So I used to read it very fast. And she used to compete with me. But sometimes she'd let me win.
Yes.
So that I think I'm better than her. Then my mother never wrote any letter with her hand. If she's supposed to write a letter to her grandmother, or from my grandmother or grandfather, she'd always dictate it.
To you?
And then I write it. She's dictating and I'm writing.
Yes. So you also mastered the
writing. What I didn't know, she was training me how to write with comprehension and with understanding and to know my spelling.
What they call oral skills nowadays.
Oral skills, exactly. Yes. So I became very good at that. So in primary school, in spite of the fact that I was having eye challenges, one thing I never got wrong was my reading test. Everything was always correct.
Yes.
Because my parents had already taught me how to read things clearly and authoritatively.
Yes.
Then they also did something else. There used to be a book called Reader's Digest.
Yes.
So Reader's Digest is a small magazine that came.
It's still there even
yes,
after
that
today.
came yes once a month. So they have something called Word Power.
You could get it in Kenya?
Yes, my parents used to order it
I used to see that in
the post
libraries,
office.
but
yes.
nowadays
So they used to have it like they send it to you almost as a correspondence. So every month you get it on the post. And my fondest job as a kid at home,
Yes.
I used to be sent to the post office. And guess where? Guess where I used to be sent? From Buruburu to Likoni Road. And I used to walk. That's about 5 kilometers, yes. Because my father used to work at Print Park, which is next to House of Manji. So that's where the post office boxes were. And those days, if you have a post office box, you're very rich.
You are the real deal.
You're the real deal. So I used to, so my parents used to give me about 2 shillings.
Yeah.
So that I buy maize or mandazi along the road to go to the post office.
Some
snacks.
African snacks.
Snacks, exactly. And I used to buy those.
Yes.
But on my way, there used to be the Eastlands Library, which is used to be there. So I used to stop there and read a book or pick a book. They used to give you 2 weeks so that you can return them.
Yes.
So it was a continuous activity of learning every day.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't know too is that I probably was the youngest newspaper seller in Kenya when I was about 10 because I was very precocious.
Okay.
So on Rabai Road, which is just next to our house in Buruburu Phase 1, it's a road where the number 23 used to have its stage.
Yes.
So that's just next to my house in Buruburu.
Yes.
What used to happen is that every Saturday, the newspaper man used to have me as his newspaper vendor when he's going for lunch or when he's taking any break.
Yes.
So he used to pay me 175 cents per day. So that was a lot of money in the 80s. But I used to read the entire newspaper on Saturday, the whole thing.
Yes.
And then my friend Otieno, who was then at Starehe Boys, told me, always read the editorial first. So even at age 10 and 11.
Why?
Because that has first it had the cartoon for the day. So it's a light touch and it's entertaining. Then it had the summary of the whole newspaper to the left. So once I've read that, I'll have known everything that is going on in the country that day. Yeah. Then in the evening when my father came from work, he'd also read the paper with me, the sports side and other segments.
Yes.
So he'd read that out loud and I'd ask him, what does this word mean? What is this? So
you
And
comprehend.
then I did a lot of the crosswords and also those kind of things. But of course, much later I started doing Sudokus because my sister Judy Warria likes that. So that newspaper has always been part of me.
Yeah.
So this helped me a lot so that when I was doing my SATs to go to the US, the verbal reasoning was so easy for me.
Yes.